As we move into the 21st century, our world arrives at a crossroads of challenge and opportunity. Regions that were once remote are now impacting the global economy as never before.
지금까지 유럽이 지배해온 그러한 세계에서 새로운 아시아 태평양의 협력의 시대로 옮겨가고 있습니다.
As new trade opportunities emerge, avenues to transport the world's goods, people, and services become increasingly congested.
One of the biggest barriers to entry in any economic market is travel, is transit. Being able to get your product to market, being able to get it from point A to point B.
We are becoming ever more dependent on the transportation systems that link us.
See a world in the 21st century where it makes sense, whether it be economically or in terms of stability, for all nations of the world to be integrated.
In order for individual nations to prosper, we must envision an expanded system of trade and cooperation.
If we work individually, we can only accomplish so much. If we work together, then there's no telling what we can do.
The time is right to consider new connections linking not only nations but the entire world. First proposed by the governor of Colorado in 1890, connecting the eastern and western hemispheres at the Bering Strait is not just a recent idea. At the time, they envisioned a vast cosmopolitan railway system that would link the entire world. Since then, the idea of a Bering Strait land passage has gone through many developments. In recent years, the vision of connecting the Bering Strait has been advocated by the Reverend Dr. Sun Myung Moon. He has emphasized the benefit this land connection would have on world peace and has created the Foundation for Peace and Unification dedicated to this project. Current proposals consist of a 53-mile-long seabed tunnel, as well as nearly 4,000 miles of railroad track laid across remote stretches of North America and East Asia. Linking these two continents would open up an entirely new route to transfer goods. It would also provide access to once isolated areas that surround the strait, just as the Transcontinental Railway had done for America's West more than a century ago. But with a distance never before achieved in tunnel construction, this mega project has left many asking, is this proposal really within our reach?
It's often a misconception that it's impossible to build a land connection at the Bering Strait. But actually, from an engineering standpoint, this is a very feasible project.
There are three major challenges engineers face when building an underwater tunnel: the type of bedrock for drilling and support, the depth of the tunnel, and the distance the tunnel spans. The Seikon Tunnel in Japan dealt with depths of over 700 feet. What about the Bering Strait?
The Bering Strait at its deepest point is less than 200 feet, which is relatively shallow, very favorable for building a tunnel.
Of utmost importance is the composition of the seabed. Projects like the English Channel had to deal with soft, chalky material in contrast to the Bering Strait.
Another aspect of this that gives us confidence in the technical feasibility is that most of the seabed under the Bering Strait is granite. This means that when we bore a tunnel, it is largely self-supporting.
What seems to be the greatest challenge facing this undertaking is the 53-mile-long gap between the tip of East Asia and Alaska. The longest underwater tunnel ever completed was the English Channel, which spans nearly 23 miles.
Because there are two islands in the middle of the Bering Strait, the distance is effectively cut in half. This means that construction can proceed from 4 points at once.
Based on existing technology and proven construction models, the tunnel at the Bering Strait can certainly be achieved in our time. Since the tunnel construction is feasible, then one obstacle remains: connecting the tunnel region with the nearest rail links.
Already, Russia is building a railroad that connects the Baikal-Amur main line to Yakutsk. Contingent on the response by the United States and Canada, Russia has already said that it will extend its railroad all the way to the Bering Strait.
Plans are in the works to build a natural gas pipeline from Prudhoe Bay to Canada and on to the Midwestern United States. This presents an opportunity for expanded rail links. As materials for pipeline construction would likely need a supply line, a vast amount of rail infrastructure could already be in place.
When we first built the rail in the United States from east to west, that was the lifeblood. That was what created a strong America. That was what created our national economy, the ability to get from east to west. If we were willing to do it then, why wouldn't we be willing to do it now when the stakes are a lot higher and the benefits a lot greater?
In a globalized world where literally there's no day and night, trade goes on 24 hours around the clock, transactions can be done at the push of a button, people can fly from one part of the world to another in a matter of hours. It makes sense to make physical connections to facilitate trade and facilitate communication as never before.
As this age, everybody talking about the Asian Pacific age, everybody expects China to grow. I can expect so much more demand of transport of goods between China and America. This tunnel is very important, and it's not just about two countries. Actually, it's really benefit the whole world.
This is an opportunity to open up more transportation, to get more goods and products and services and energy to market where it needs to be.
私がこのプロジェクトで紹介されましたこのベーリング海峡のトンネル、あれ橋を架けるということを知ったとき、初めはどうかなと思いましたけども、説明を聞いたときですね、びっくりしたことは、このシカゴと北京がですね、直線距離で結んだ場合ですね、このベーリング海峡を通過するというそのことですね。これは最短距離であると。
Imagine a container full of freight being shipped from China to the United States. What happens now is that the container first has to be brought by truck or by rail to a port in China. There it's put on a ship and brought across the ocean to a U.S. port. Once it gets to the U.S. port, it has to wait a week, 10 days, or even 2 weeks in the outer harbor before it even has a chance to go in and offload its freight. Once it's finally offloaded, then it's transferred to a truck or railroad again and delivered to its final destination. Contrast that to putting that same container full of freight on a rail car and shipping it directly up through the Bering Strait and to its final destination in one trip.
As a former congressman, somebody that made decisions every day about how to allocate our scarce resources, I can't think of a better thing to get involved in, because this produces jobs, it strengthens the economy, it helps to get energy, which we're in dire need of.
There are large amounts of untapped coal reserves, natural gas, and minerals in Alaska and Siberia. Having access to these resources can provide an enormous benefit. In addition, government studies have shown that the Russian Far East and North America could save up to $20 billion a year in electricity costs through use of potentially available hydroelectric power.
日本は経済的に発展しておりますけども、同時にですね、日本には資源が少ないから、これは外国から入れなきゃいけないと。外国から入れて作ってそして出すと。その場合ですね、この交易路というのは非常に重要な問題になり、プラス鉄道と、そしてこのハイウェイに頼ることができる、そういう可能性が見えたということが非常に印象的でした。새로운 시대를 개막하기 위해서는 우리가 협력할 수 있는 큰 프로젝트가 필요하고, 그런 큰 프로젝트의 하나가 베링 해협 터널 프로젝트라고 생각합니다.
This project will revolutionize world trade. It will vastly increase the amount of freight being shipped between North America and Asia.
As you build track, centers of economic activity begin to develop. And those centers of economic activity can take on a newfound importance as not just simply being way stations for the construction of rail track, but can take on other identities, other roles over time.
Increasing the trade, the communication, the cultural exchange, everything, it would have phenomenal implications upon the entire world. We should do it just for the economic advantages alone.
The idea of the Bering Strait Tunnel goes beyond the technical aspects. It's a very important symbol of communication between peoples and civilizations, between continents.
When people come together through the communication of ideas, people can know each other better, and then the trust can be built,
I've always believed that the most beneficial way to improve relations in the world is through engagement, constructive engagement. This would provide one more way for the cultures to be able to meld, to be able to integrate and work with one another.
베링 프로젝트는 역사상 최고의 메가 프로젝트임에는 틀림없습니다. 그러나 그 궁극적인 가치는 세계 평화를 달성하는 데 있다고 생각합니다. 이 프로젝트가 완성됨으로 인해서 동반구와 서반구, 미국과 러시아, 유럽과 중국, 한국, 일본까지 하나의 일일 생활권이 형성됨으로 인해서 문화와 종교, 인종, 국가의 담이 허물게 되는데 크게 기여할 것이라 생각합니다.
This is a symbol of cooperation between men of different culture, of different races, and between countries.
Really is exciting to me. I can see that it actually has dramatic benefit, and I see it has tremendous value.
This is what you mean when you're really talking about creating peace.
And I think that as this story continues to be told, as the vision continues to expand, and as people start to grasp it, they're going to demand it.
The Bering Strait project can provide a vital step in bringing the world to a future beyond a collection of separate nations to an integrated global community where people and cultures cooperate to their greatest potential.